Hi everyone, Chris here with Shiny New Gadgets. It's been a while since I made a video, but thought I'd put this together to hopefully give some people some help that were, like myself, very interested in learning how these new Snapdragon Elite processors by Qualcomm are holding up in these new Windows ARM computers. There's been quite a few of them that have been released over the last week. So the ones that I picked up were the Surface Laptop 15-inch, and I also bought the Surface Pro, which is more of the tablet type computer. This whole discussion is not going to be one that will be professionally edited. I just kind of wanted to get that out of there to, maybe help people make some smart decisions. And it's all coming from the perspective of a real estate business guy that is mostly using the laptop for work and some content creation, editing real estate videos and such. I am not a gamer, so I don't really have a whole lot to say about the gaming performance on any of these laptops. I'm coming from a MacBook Pro, 16-inch M3 Max, which is about as top of the line of a MacBook you can buy right now, so my expectations are pretty high. And as you may know, the Surface laptops and just Surface devices in general tend to be a little bit more expensive than competing products with similar specs. So the good news is I really don't have a whole lot bad to say about the general performance on this laptop. So this particular one has 64 gigabytes of memory, a 1 terabyte hard drive, and then the Snapdragon Elite processor. Unlike the Surface Pro, which again is that tablet one, this does not have an OLED screen. It is just an LCD screen. It does have a nice haptic trackpad. There's only one side that actually has USB-C ports. The right side just has the Surface connector, which is kind of like a charger dock connector system, as well as a micro SD card slot. So I would have really loved to have seen a USB-C on both sides just for convenience of charging it up. So again, I've really been pretty impressed overall with the general performance of this, and I'm talking about Microsoft Outlook, Word, Excel, browsing, nothing too hardcore, and it has held up really well. The other thing that I do professionally is photo editing, so I'm in Lightroom and Photoshop often, and I am happy to say that even though Lightroom Classic, which most photographers are still using to, manage their photography portfolio, it holds up really, really well with this in Prism, which is Microsoft's emulation software similar to Apple's Rosetta. I was a little bit nervous about that because technically it does take some processor headroom away by running that emulation layer, but honestly, running Lightroom Classic on this wasn't significantly different than it was on my MacBook Pro M3 Max. That being said, I do use some HDR merge software. The one that I'm a big fan of is Photomatix, and I can tell you that Photomatix, although it did work, it took about 5 times longer to render my HDR output as my M3 Max did. And I'm guessing that does have a lot to do with the emulation layer. The other thing that I think is just really, really critical to mention, and I guess probably the most important point to leave you with, is all the battery longevity hype that came with these Snapdragon Elite processors is 100% legit. I can use this laptop no matter what I'm doing, and I am getting really impressive battery life, right on par with my M3 Max. And I can say, at least with this particular laptop, I really don't hear the fans go on at all. So there are fans in it, as there are with the M3 Max MacBook, but you just don't hear them all that often, and the same is true with this. So that's been pretty impressive. I do prefer to use Windows for my productivity type work, so it is a breath of fresh air to actually be able to use the Windows operating system on something that doesn't get hot, that doesn't get loud, that lasts a really long time. I can tell you that there are going to be a couple hiccups depending on what type of software that you use. I was planning on editing this video in Blackmagic Pro, Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve. And unfortunately, it's not quite ready for prime time. So it is built specifically for ARM. I don't know if it just has to do with some driver type issues or something like that, but it really was pretty miserable to run. So hopefully that'll improve over time without having to upgrade the hardware, but that was my experience. Other than that, if you're gonna be using a laptop for general purpose work stuff, think just business type things, honestly, I truly do prefer this over the MacBook. And a lot of that probably is just my preference on operating systems, since I grew up with Windows, as most of the folks my age did. So moral of the story is, these are the real deal. They're very impressive in terms of battery life. The speed in which apps, turn on and off, and just fluidity of the operating system is amazing. I would say better than Intel and AMD systems that I've had in the past, with just some hiccups here and there with certain applications, either not being ARM native, so not quite running the way that they're supposed to, or just maybe requiring a little bit more graphical oomph than what these systems are able to provide. So I can wholly endorse buying one of these systems if your intent is to use it as a business type computer, a computer to have around the house to watch media and play bills. Outside of that, if you're more into the content creation things where you're constantly making videos and editing photos, you might want to look at something else. But great first start for Qualcomm and Snapdragon. I'm excited Microsoft is taking the leap, and I will more than likely hold on to this computer, and it will become my daily driver for business use. Thanks for watching.